Bob Murphy, arguably the most eloquent of all former players in the media, often talks about the long hard winter slog of an AFL season. Only when he reached the end of that chilly period last year did he realize he had no interest in experiencing it again, at least in a football sense. By now local football clubs are either playing finals or gearing up for finals, and the big league is no different. Assuming Geelong defeats Gold Coast on Saturday, 6 of the 9 games will have relevance to the top 8 this weekend. The two at either end, Friday night and Sunday evening, shape as draft pick matches and the last chance for out-of-contract players to prove they deserve another deal. Round 23 sandwiched in the middle is Adelaide v Carlton. Had you looked at this match pre-round 1, it would have been reasonable to presume the Crows would be preparing for finals. Instead, it is a dead rubber and they only have themselves to blame. The post-season review should be brutal at West Lakes, and it should come as no surprise to Crows fans if heads roll. Training camps aside, the real games that matter this weekend shape as tantalizing encounters. Lance Franklin kicked 5 goals against GWS last Saturday, but will he play this Saturday? Source: AAAPTHE. Will he or won't he play? Merry-go-round has been swinging violently since Lance Franklin trudged from the field last weekend with a groin complaint. Sydney relies disproportionately on Franklin, to the point where Brownlow medalist Gerard Healy says they are almost like a bottom 4 team without him. Insiders say the Swans wouldn't risk their biggest asset if their position in the 8 was locked, but they have a double chance to protect and must defeat Hawthorn to ensure it. With Jeff Kennett howling irrational barbs in the background, don't be surprised if an 80% fit buddy finds another gear when it matters most on Saturday night at the SCG. That is, if he plays. The jury is still out. Of course, the SCG may be home for Sydney, but it's hardly a happy hunting ground. Winning just 4 of 10 matches at the venue this year has been a source of frustration for locals, who are used to seeing John Longmire's men clean up there. It was worrying until they lost to Gold Coast, now it's almost laughable. This Saturday night they can rectify it. Minor Premiers-elect Richmond has brought back Trent Cotchin and Dion Prestia from injury ahead of its clash against the Western Bulldogs, who will finish 13th or 14th. Should the Tigers progress as expected to the grand final, Cotchin's lead-in will be as follows: play, rest, play, rest, play, rest, play. Fortnite is the rage among young folk, but Cotchin could be the most valuable fortnightly player in the competition by season's end. What a luxury. Trent Cotchin is back for Richmond. Source: News Corp Australia. Sam Murray's reported drug test failure has dampened the mood at Collingwood ahead of its first-ever game at Perth Stadium against Fremantle, but it will hardly make or break its season. Nathan Buckley has been a more relaxed version of himself this year. In a case of chicken or the egg, is he chilled because they are winning or winning because he's chilled? Whatever the answer, it's working, and he's allowing the bakers to bake too. Levi Greenwood has kept Dustin Martin to 19 disposals, Dane Zorko to 14 and Chad Wingard to 18 touches across 3 of the last 4 weeks, while Jordan De Goey appears primed for the big stage. The former first-round draft pick spent 59% of his time forward in rounds 1 to 16, but this has risen to 81% in rounds 17 to 22. And what about Taylor Adams? As a pure midfielder, he has notched more clearances than any other Magpie since round 17. Things are clicking for Buckley and his men, and the competition is better for it. Collingwood tagger Levi Greenwood blanketed Dane Zorko in round 21. Source: Getty Images. Brisbane will fancy its chances against West Coast at the Gabba, but the Eagles remain favourites, and rightfully so. It feels like yesterday when Chris Judd kicked 5 goals against the Lions at the venue to truly announce himself against the eventual premiers. Of course this was not yesterday, it was round 12 in 2003 and the scoreline read West Coast 160 to Brisbane 91. A goal fest like that would be a treat on Sunday, but don't bank on it. West Coast must win to ensure a home qualifying final, and they must do so without several big names. Judd himself has led a peculiar news cycle this week after suggesting Melbourne celebrated too hard after defeating the Eagles in round 22. He was howled down by Matthew Lloyd at the time and several others afterwards, but as a two-time Brownlow medalist he is entitled to his opinion. If the Demons lose to the Giants on Sunday at the MCG, it will have nothing to do with last weekend's match, it will simply be because GWS is better. A terrific last hurrah of football is ahead. Make the most of it because it's 7 months until we will have 9 games packed in across 3 days again. And thank the Lord you worship we have something to distract us from Canberra.